A lot of you have been asking about how to take your private pilot written test through the FAA guidelines and what I use, and so I wanted to tell you about that today. So in my last video, I attempted to explain how to do better on your FAA written test, and it was a little confusing because it didn't show you the app on which I was talking about. So in this video, I wanted to do that for you guys real quick, and it's the Sporty's Private Pilot Training Test Prep app. It's about $15, so it isn't free. It is a little bit of money up front, but what's really cool about this app is that it has different modes that you can study and do test prep on, and it's got all the questions on the FAA written test. So I'll show you a couple modes here. You have learning mode, flashcard mode, test mode, and you can review and resume all of your previous sessions, and you can test yourself, you can quiz yourself. So let me show you a little bit about each one. Learning mode has all of the systems segregated and put into their own specific category. So you can go through each one. So let's say you want to learn about aerodynamic forces, and you can go further into that. All the questions on the FAA written test that are about aerodynamic forces, the same wording is going to be in this app. Alright, so it gives you a couple questions here. Actually, it's 41 questions about 4 forces acting on an airplane. And for this one, we know what the 4 forces are acting on an airplane, and that's going to be lift, weight, thrust, and drag. So we see that's right there, and it tells us why. Lift opposes weight. Okay, so it gives us an explanation, and you can continue with the question. So just push the down arrow to go to the next one. What is meant by the angle of attack? And so you can keep going through each one of these and answer them. And it's the angle of the chord line and the relative wind. We know that, so click on that. That's the right answer, and it tells us why. So it's a really great and functional app, and you can do a lot with it. I used this app before I took my test, and I did far better after using this than I did before. It's also easier than the book. I don't like using the book personally, because the book gives you a lot of questions, it gives you the questions from the FAA written test, but it also gives you all trick questions, so you may not remember the one that's actually correct, and you might get them confused with the others that seem right. Test mode is important though, and you can do that at the end when you're ready to take your test. You can just kind of do a quick prep, take the test mode, and try it out, but I would suggest that you do not study by using practice tests. That is by far the worst way, because you'll inherently get answers wrong by doing that. And okay, so the next one is flashcard mode. I like this one a lot too. You can pick a system. Let's do ADS-B surveillance systems. Click on that, and we're on flashcard mode. So ADS-B out equipment is required when? It's required when you're flying through Class C or Bravo airspace, and it's also in Class E airspace at and above 3,000 MSL over the Gulf of Mexico from the US coastline out to 12 nautical miles. How many of you guys would have known that? But according to the FAA, they have 11 questions about ADS-B out, and for sure one of them is going to show up on the test. So it just gave us one of the answers to them. So if we see that question, we'll be able to answer it and just remember that question and then move on to the next one. So did you get it correct? Did you get it incorrect? You can mark that. I'll just say I got it incorrect. Alright, so just save that so I know what I need to go back and study a little bit better. This is another really great way to test yourself and see how much you actually know. One of my favorite ways to, again, study for it. And okay, let's go ahead and close that. I'll show you what the actual test mode is. And we'll just go ahead and quit. Okay, so if you go to the test mode, alright, you're going to get 70% passing score is what is required to pass the test. You're going to get 60 multiple choice questions, and you have a total of 2.5 hours to complete the test. Okay, it tells you all the things that you need to do. Okay, now you can go ahead and start, and it's counting down the timer for you. So you can go through. When air traffic controller issues radar traffic information in relation to the 12-hour clock, the reference the controller uses is the aircraft's magnetic heading, right? I'm going to try that. So it's not going to tell us if it's right or wrong till the end. And so I probably just answered that wrong. Well, I need to go back and review. Alright, what does VSO decide? Okay, VSO is defined as what? And we know that VSO is the minimum stall speed with flaps configured. And that's actually going to be stalling speed or minimum steady flight speed in landing configuration. I believe that is correct. So move on to the next one. Determine the total distance required for takeoff to clear 50-foot obstacle. And so it's going to have you do some calculations on the test. Those were a little bit hard for me, just because we always did it differently than how they do it on the test. and you'll see that you'll get a little book, and it's kind of confusing. You'll get load factor, and you'll get weight and balance, and it's like putting these little tables and charts, and it's kind of all over the place. So yeah, that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to just kind of mull over with your flight instructor to make sure that you understand that pretty well. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward for the most part. The test isn't that hard, but again, it's basically, if you think that you know a little bit about aviation and then you go and take it, you're probably not going to do very well, because there's specific questions and specific answers which are kind of close together sometimes and are a little confusing. So just be prepared for that, and you're going to want to study the questions and the answers for the test. Again, I do recommend just doing flashcard mode or learning mode until you get all the answers down, and then do test mode, because if you just jump into test mode, you're going to study all the questions, and then you're going to look at the answers. You're going to see the right answer, but you're going to see the other two, and when you go ahead and take the test on the actual day, you might just flip the two and say, and think that this question or this answer is right, but it was actually the other one. So you mix up your answers a little bit easier when you do test mode, which isn't good. So anyways, I hope that helps. This app is really good. I totally think it's worth the $15. Okay, let's go ahead and view all figures. Okay, so this is the Airman Knowledge Testing Supplement for Sport Pilot, Recreational Pilot, Remote Pilot, Private Pilot. This book is what you're going to be given on the day of test to take your FAA written test. It's got charts, it's got weight and balance, it's got load factor, it's got crosswind components. So all of those pages, everything that is going to show up on the test is going to be in here. So just make sure that you know how to read this and understand it pretty well, so that when you're asked a question about it, you can go ahead and fill that out, and so you know the right answer to it. You can resume and review all questions. So learning mode, 8 out of 8. So this was from a while ago. Test mode, 78. Flashcard mode. So you can see all the previous times that you've taken the practice tests and learning mode every time you saved it. And you can see what your weaknesses are and what you need to get better at. Hands down, probably the best app to take your FAA written test. It's really, really helpful. It's going to save you probably a lot of times and a lot of pain. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. I'll try to do my best to answer that. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much a wrap. I'm wishing you the best. I know you can do great things, and I'm excited to see you out there in the sky. And until we see you in the next video, take care.
You better set up for straight in. Oh yeah, right there. You can make it forward track to a 4-0 establish on straight in at 2044 miles. 5 George Juliet Center.